Thank you for tuning in to TTV. I'm your host, Toya, and today is Saturday, and I have the question of the week for you. And if you couldn't tell by the title of the video already, the question is, has America lost its mind? Like, really, have we really lost our minds? And I'm sorry, this one is a little emotionally tinged because when I come up with these topics for discussion for the week, it's really what comes to me that I end up speaking on. And so I was trying to figure out what to do the topic for the question of the week. And I'm scrolling through Instagram when a friend of mine posts this picture right here. And I'll probably blow it up for the full screen. But yeah, so this is a picture that they post. And instantly, it's like under my skin, like instantly. Now, mind you, I'm 46 years old. Well, I'll be 46 in September. So I'm 45 years old. I grew up on the east side of Detroit, 6 Mile in DeQuinder area. Okay. And if you don't know, that's a very deplorable looking area right now. So when I grew up, we had men that looked like women and dressed up like women. We had women that dressed up like men. We had people who we knew were homosexual, whether it was a man or a woman, so lesbian or gay. We had ones that we couldn't figure out what they were. We had crackheads. You had them crazy people, the ones you could talk to, the ones that you stayed away from. You had the potheads, like we had everything in the neighborhood. Okay, I grew up around everything, and I know some people are probably gonna say, "Oh, well, you're just homophobic, or you are transgender phobic, or whatever the case may be." You can call me whatever you want. I'm secure in who I am, and I know who I am, and I know how I feel about things, and I'll be the first one to tell you to be true to yourself. But just because it's your truth doesn't mean it has to be somebody else's, and somebody else just has to go along with it just because it's your truth. Okay? It's your truth, not somebody else's. We are all here on our own journeys to do our own things. And when I see things like that, let's just backtrack to what the picture is saying. So this man couldn't cut it as a man in the swimming industry. He couldn't cut it as a man. He was 400 and whatever place it was that it said he was in. So you couldn't cut it as a man. You transform yourself into a woman and stating that you identify now as a woman so that you can compete against women to be number one. Now, it's a lot of feminists that's out there that's going to say, well, a woman is just as good as a man and go on all of that stuff. You know what? Some things, yes. Can a woman build a house just as well as a man? Yes. Can a woman be an electricianist? Yes. Can a woman go to outer space? Yeah. All that stuff that men can do, yes. But when it comes down to the physical, biological nature of a man and a woman, it is different. Okay? It is different. A woman does not have the same genetic makeup as a man. Okay? Now, you can do those competition and you can have them strong women and they take them steroids or do whatever it is that they have to do to become, big and buff like a man. I'm not talking about them because that is few and far in between. The average woman does not look like that. The average of the average doesn't look like that. They don't even try to look like that. So we're not talking about those extreme cases that's off on the left-hand side. We're talking about your everyday women. So you have these women that has sat back and spent time. And these are and it's not like they just do this for a couple of weeks, a 6-week train or nothing. They have spent some years building up for these events, to do these events, okay? To go to these competitions, only to have to go up against a man. It's not right. It's not right. I don't care how you look at it. It's not right. And then somebody else posted, which forgive me because I didn't look it up to verify it, because it's so stupid. You have to believe that it's not true. But at the same token, it's so stupid. It just might actually be true. That they are actually considering renaming women, biological women who were born as a woman, to call them baby carriers, and then to call the ones that have transformed themselves into women. Have we lost our mind? When did we get to this point? Like, for real, when did we get to this point? Because this makes no sense. Then you have those who they don't associate themselves as a he or a she and want to be called them and their. Do you know how confusing that is? Do you know how twisted that is? And then they're talking about teaching this stuff in school to kindergartners and preschool when their minds are like sponges and will absorb all of this. Where are they supposed to fit in? They don't even know who they are yet. They're just existing. And you're supposed to be teaching this to them in school when they haven't even figured out who they are. They haven't even figured out all they know is that's my friend and I go play with them. That's it. Or they think, oh, it's cool. Johnny has 2 mommies. Or Daryl has 2 daddies. That's all they thinking. And now we got to go through and explain all of this stuff. And then there's the bathroom. Lord, somebody did a skit on Instagram. It may have been TikTok, but whatever. I saw it on Instagram where he was trying to figure out what bathroom to go to. Like, where does all of this end? Where does it end? You know, and then you have it to where somebody else was talking about a camping where you have men who identify as women now, and they're sleeping in the cabinets with these little girls, with these 7, 8, 9-year-old little girls. In what reality is that okay? Just because you say you identify, if I was a sexual predator, I would identify as whatever it was to get me to where I'm trying to get to. So what happens to these little girls when they start getting preyed upon, these so-called women who call themselves women, but they actually were born and raised a man? So then what? Have we lost our mind? When did we cross over from people just being people? Like I said, when I grew up, we had all kind of people in our neighborhood. And it was just like, yeah, you might have thought that was odd, but you just wrote it off as that's whoever it was. Oh, that's Billy over there. That's just how, you know, he is. You know, yeah, he a little crazy, but that's okay. You know, we deal with it. You know, whatever it was, we just accepted and dealt with it. That was just the nature of who you were. We didn't have to have all those labels. We didn't have to come up with all these things. And we didn't have all these people who had walked around with the emotions on as a body armor, always getting hurt just because the wind blows. So your feelings are hurt because the wind blew, because you're wearing your emotions like a bodysuit. And I'm not saying that, you know, we don't recognize or acknowledge the feelings that we have. You do. But your problems are your problems. Your experiences are your experiences. It's nobody else's responsibility in this world to take care of what you feel. You get to that point where, yeah, something hurt your feelings or somebody said something to hurt your feelings, then you go and you speak to them like an adult. You're grown. Talk to them like you grown. Have a conversation like you grown. Be respectful of each other. And so now, because you decided that you no longer identify as a man or you no longer identify as a woman, and it's frustrating to me because it's crazy that I have to call you a he, she, be, them, they, whatever. I gotta come up with all these different names for you. I feel like Bernie Mac. Like, where's Bernie Mac now? Because I can hear him. America, you listening? Like, it's crazy. This is crazy. But it's also dangerous. It is dangerous. Now, you can look up the statistics and everything else, but the ones that prey on children, those are men. Majority of the time, it's a man preying on a little girl or a little boy. Majority of the time. And so by doing these laws and making these regulations and things like that, you are opening the door for these women, these young girls, to be harmed. To allow these men who had sex changes to compete against other women who are born women and who've been striving to do these competitions for most of their lives. It's wrong. I don't care how you look at it. It ain't right. You want to do this? Fine, do it. But why don't y'all have your own? Why don't you do your own? Because you're not a woman. You're not a woman, but you don't want to be called a man. Then you know what? For all of you, we can come up with your own competition. Because it's not fair for some woman who has done her whole life or done majority of her life or a good portion of her life to go and enter this competition for you to come in being a man whose body structure is a lot different than for a woman. Otherwise, we wouldn't have the two sexes. If the biology was the same for a man and a woman, we wouldn't have the two different sexes. If a man had to go through menstrual cramps, which they did do studies on that, to where they have these devices or whatever, where they make men experience what a cramp is like, y'all can't take it. But we have to go through this every month because this is what we were born with. Why? Because it's a different biology. The body is made up different. Your organs are different. Your heart runs different. Your muscles are different. Everything is different on the inside. Why? Because there's different hormones going through. Your hormones were not structured to do the same thing a woman's hormones were structured to do. So why do you get to compete just as with a woman? And why do I have to change my sexual identity of being a woman because now you want to take it on? How is that fair? And when did it become all about you? I'm going to get off my soapbox. But when I saw that it struck a chord in me. It really did. Because I'm thinking, not only are you talking about these high school competitions, not only are you talking about national competitions and tournaments and things like that, but you're even talking on a global effect, like with the Olympics. So you have these girls who have probably even been doing this to the transition of becoming a woman, and now they have to compete against men. If we had women competition and men competition separate, it was separated for a reason. Okay, and I know a lot of feminists might jump on me and say, "Oh well, women is just as good as men, and men, they can do the same." No, that only goes so far. We were created different for a reason. Men do not carry babies. Women do. Men do not have menstrual cycles every month. Women do. Men do not have an excess of estrogen. Women do. Women do not have an excess of testosterone. Men do. Women do not create sperm. We create eggs. Okay, so we're different for a reason. And I really think it is unjust and unfair to have someone who was born biologically a man competing in these activities with these women. Now, if it's a dance competition, fine, whatever. That is dance. But when you start talking about the physical activities like this, when you're talking about swimming and maybe basketball and, all those sports, those sports activities and physical activities and things like that, you are talking about a different biological makeup. And so regardless of what you identify with, you do not have the same makeup as these women. And that's why I can't say that because I don't know this person. I don't know this person. But my belief is that you probably even did this change just so you can compete to become number one. But like I said, I'm going to get off my soapbox. I just saw that. And when I saw that, I'm like, okay, this is the question of the week. So America, in the words of Bernie Mac, America, have y'all lost your mind? I just want to know, can we find it? Can somebody please find America's mind? Please. And I can go into further detail about this, about how it's really a distraction against what's really going on. How that's a whole part of the the whole system is, watch my hand over here. Look what I'm doing with the left so you don't see what the right hand is doing. Yeah, because there's a lot of that going on too. People looking at everything that's going on the surface and not looking at what's going on under the surface. So it's more to it than just this. But this is the part that pissed me off to the point where I had to come on here and say something. So, oh man, America, can we find our minds, please? Can somebody please find their mind and tell me, in what world is this okay? That's all I want to know. What world is this okay? That's it though. I'm done. I love you guys, and I'll talk to you tomorrow.